It for your practical exam today, I need you to wait to fabricate it until you come to the back station, okay? Everybody gets that, right? Because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to call your name and you're not going to have a chicken. Okay, salt and pepper to taste goes into the season your chicken. It's important to season the chicken both before you put the breading on it, okay? So make sure you season it with salt and pepper, even though you are, putting seasoning on the chicken within the breading. That's an important thing to know. You are going to add your herbs and spices to your flour. So you've got garlic powder, onion powder, dried oregano, dried basil. That's all going to just get mixed into your flour. And I thought I had a demonstration here of it. Is it there? And I don't have any extra. I want to save all the chickens for you, so I'm not going to demonstrate this today. Breadcrumb, and it's dried white bread. So it does yield a very nice crispy. It's not traditional, but it will give you a nice crispy texture. You can even mix the two. Half and half would be fine too. That's going to be up to you. You guys get to have a little bit of creative freedom with this as well. So you're going to begin by seasoning your chicken. Then you're going to take your flour or panko mixture, whichever you decide to do, and put your seasoning inside of there as well. I would also put a little salt and pepper into my, yes. It won't stick. You'll have to mix it together. So when you're practicing this, what you do is you take and you put your chicken in buttermilk. So once you've got your chicken cut into 8 pieces, you set it into buttermilk. Not a bad idea to actually soak it in the buttermilk for a little bit of time. Like when I do this at home, I'll do it the night before, because the buttermilk has an acid to it, and it helps to tenderize the chicken. So it gives it a little bit of that. So once you do that, then you remove it from the buttermilk to kind of shake off the excess, and then it goes into your seasoned flour. Dredge the chicken in the seasoned flour, then pan fry it until it's done. 40 minutes. So that's 40 minutes is a long time. So that's why you really have to be watching the temperature of your oil, especially so your leg meat and your thigh meat, your dark meats are going to take longer to cook than your breast meat's going to take. But the breast is usually a little bit larger than the leg and the thigh too, so you want to take that into consideration as well. Now you do not have to cook this 100% in the deep fat, in the fat. You could get it nice and crispy and then finish it in the oven. You could do that too. It's not going to yield as crispy of a texture, but it will still be pretty crispy because we've done it in here before. So either way is fine. You can do it that way. But that's why, because the dark meat takes longer to cook and the breast of chicken is pretty large, it's going to take a little bit longer to cook. Now, after you've done cooking this, then you are going to, ideally you use the grease in your pan to make your gravy, but you don't have, especially since you guys are sharing, that might be a little bit challenging. You might just have to use some butter in place of the pan salt, the pan fat for your gravy. And actually it'll have a good flavor. Maybe you want to put 1 ladle of your fat into your butter and make your gravy from there. But this does get a gravy on top of it, and I do want to see you guys do that because I do think it's an important thing for you, to learn how to do. Okay, and it's real simple, kind of like one of your mother's. It can't be, flour and fat, and then some milk. You can even cut it with some chicken stock if it's getting a little too thick, right? Yeah, this calls for half and half. So either one is fine. Half and half or chicken stock, either one will be fine. Okay? And it says to strain through a cheesecloth. Honestly, I do not think you need to strain your gravy through a cheesecloth. If it's lumpy, then yes. I'm hoping that you've learned how to, overcome the lump situation. Okay, so how do I do that? Tell me. How do I make sure that my gravy, my sauce is lump-free?
You have opposite temperatures.
Yes, very good. Opposite temperatures. So if I've made my roux fresh, so I've got hot fat, hot flour to make my roux, I want to make sure my next item that's going in, either my cream or my stock, is cold. And then you're not going to have lumps. And you want to do whisking as you go. If they're both the same temperature, you're going to have lumps. Okay, I did that at home just the other day. See, I say this all day long, and then I go home and make that mistake. Okay, so you guys understand the breading, and your options there. I'm gonna set those off to the side, thank you. For the oven roasted vegetables, okay, so we have butternut squash is gonna go into that. We have, maybe there's some waxy, I don't know, Yukon Gold potatoes go into that. We've got beets, love beets. Beets are so good right now. And parsnip. And then you've got some, does the onion go into this? It should, yeah. Too. Okay, so these are your root vegetables, and you're gonna roast these. So you have to have a fairly high temperature in order to roast them. You wanna get them all, some of them you might wanna actually cook separately. You might wanna actually cook your beets separate from everything else because it's gonna bleed. And it'll turn, like if I cook these two things together, my parsnips will be pink, you know, because I've cooked them with my beets. Now the thing with the beets is they are a little bit of a mess. Be prepared for getting your hands dirty, your apron dirty, your jacket dirty. So try to be careful. You can wear gloves if you want, but it does wash off after a while. I mean, I never wear gloves.
Eventually.
Eventually, it's fine. It's fine, it works out. But you wanna make sure that you're cutting these all uniformly, okay? And they all are, like if you feel them all, they're all about the same hardness. So they're all gonna cook about the same time as long as they are all cut the same size. So this is a good opportunity for you to practice some good knife skills and get everything really nice and uniform. Parsnips, you do want to peel these and then slice them. So we'll pretend I have this peeled, okay? Now it has, you know, one side, it's not all the same size, so it is going to be a little bit challenging. So I just want to make sure that that's about, you know, it'll be about right. And because it's being roasted, let's see, how long do they have you roasting this? Because it's being, yeah, 45 minutes to an hour. Larger is gonna be better. Like, what are they calling for? Butternut half seeded and peeled. Yukon Gold scrubbed. Oh, they're having you cook them whole. Are they? No, cut all the vegetables, yeah, to 1.5 inch pieces. Okay. So about, you just want them all about the same size, okay? Chunks, right, chunks is a good one. 1.5 inches is about a chunk. For the butternut, this is the other one that I think that you might get a little bit challenged with. They're hard. So the key to success with your peeling of your butternut squash is having a nice sharp knife, okay? Nice sharp knife is gonna make this job a lot easier. So now I get it into 2 manageable pieces. I just trim the ends and cut it in half. From there, I wanna make sure that I am peeling, cutting around, and I want all of the white part off, okay? You don't want to leave any of this because that does not cook down and it's going to be really tough. So make sure that you peel all of that. So you're going to peel the entire butternut squash. Now the one end, you know, has the seeds and you'll want to scrape those out. And you want to cut them about the same size. Obviously all these vegetables are different shapes, so they're not going to be exactly the same shape, but you want them about the same size, okay? Make sure you do that. And also, so you're going to have shrinkage. You're roasting these vegetables, it's gonna look a lot better on your plate if they're cut a little bit bigger because they're gonna shrink as they cook, and it's gonna look stupid if you have all these teeny weeny little vegetables on your plate that you can't even tell what they were. It's nicer if they're kept a little bit larger so you can actually identify what the vegetables were, okay? And then as far as the beet goes, what do they have you doing for the beet? There's a couple different ways you could do this. They have you just cutting it up and tossing it in, and you certainly could do that. It is going to bleed onto the other vegetables. You could roast it whole by itself, and to do that I would just, I'd scrub it first and then take a piece of tin foil and wrap it in that, drizzle a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper, maybe a little bit of herb on top, and wrap it up and then roast it until you can stick a nice sharp knife into it. Let it cool a little bit and then the peel will come right off. Like you'll just be able to touch it and it'll just come right off. And then you can cut it and add it in. Or if you're gonna, or you could just cut it, you can peel it now. You do want to peel it, but the peeling is a little bit on the tough side. And then I would just cook it on separately because I don't want red all into my other vegetables, especially my parsnips, because that's not going to be good. Okay, does that make sense? Now make sure that when you...
It's got to be roasted, then otherwise you're going to need double the time to deep fry it separately.
Deep fry?
You want it to be cooking at the same time
as the chicken?
Not the vegetables. It's all, you're frying the vegetables, right?
No, these are oven roasted vegetables.
Oh,
this is all oven roasted. The only thing that's being fried is the chicken.
Right,
and this is the thing. Okay, so for timing wise, your vegetables, you can reheat them. Your chicken, you're not going to be able to reheat as easily. So I would get my roasted vegetables all prepped out first. I would season them nicely. Toss them with a little bit of oil. You know, again, you can get creative with these recipes. You know, they have no herbs in here. I would put herbs in here. Dig in there, find something good, and make it good. And get these roasted ahead, because you could just real quick dry saute these up for service. And that's what you do in a restaurant situation. Like, you're not roasting these to order. This is all roasted in advance. It's on your line, ready to go. And when you get an order for the plate, you're quickly just reheating it. Okay? So this is a good place to get, you don't have stress, like trying to get everything out and hot at the same time. It saves you that stress. So practice doing that today. Start with your vegetables, get those done first. Get your chicken in your buttermilk after you have done your practical, and then move forward with the frying of the chicken. Okay? Any questions? Did I cover everything? Now for the practical exam, you're going to be graded on the technique, you're going to be graded on the quality of the